Hello everybody and welcome back. I am the Sovereign and this is my court. If this is your first time in attendance, hello. Please consider hitting the subscribe button before you leave our kingdom. This is officially going to be the first Privy Council session. Those of you who have been with me a while, you know that I was inquiring upon holding a Privy Council. A Privy Council historically has been a place where the monarch and highest advisors discuss political issues or problems within the kingdom. And I'm a political science major. About a year ago now exactly, I said that I was thinking about holding Privy Council, but I was holding back because quite honestly, in the United States, there doesn't need to be another political commentator dragging the Trump administration. There was plenty of people already doing it and it's exhausting to deal with the tyranny. I was going to wait to perhaps dabble with the Privy Council until Joe Biden came in office because quite honestly, I want to drag the Democrats for the nonsense that goes under the radar constantly. I'm very equal over here. I will drag all the politicians regardless of what side you are on. But the events of yesterday have forced my hand. And I'm no longer willing to be blind or silent on the issue because we as a people, American citizens, have to take blame. Though I know a lot of us are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to deal with politics and I don't want to be involved. People that choose not to be involved are kind of why we're in the situation that we're in. And I don't think YouTubers and influencers understand how much power they have to be able to swing actual political issues. So I think the responsible thing for me to do would be to no longer remain silent. There will be some rules in Privy Council, okay? Because I enjoy a hearty debate. I truly do. But there will be respect given by both sides. If you're going to reside here, if you're going to present yourself here amongst the Privy Council members, I hold you to a certain level of maturity and intellect. If you want to speak, if you have something to say, I expect it to be backed up by facts. If you come into Privy Council and you just want to say racist things, or you just want to say like just nonsense unsupported by any factual evidence, go away. Go away. This is for those of us who can sustain a mature adult conversation. Regardless, even if you're a teenager, you're welcome here. I know many intelligent teenagers and lots of really stupid boomers. Whoever you choose to be, who you are, that is fine. Whatever political party affiliation you are a part of, that is fine. We will be debating, speaking about both sides of the nonsense. I look forward to making fun of both sides of the parties, because look, it is a straight clown fest in the United States right now, but there is a higher level of respectability and maturity expected in this playlist of my kingdom. Behave yourself. And yes, I do have a tendency to be down in the comment sections. I'm very interactive. Don't get surprised. Like I said, behave yourself. So we're calling to order the first Privy Council. We need to discuss the fact that Trump supporters tried to sack Congress yesterday. That was an attempted coup. That was an attempted coup. And I don't understand why this is not trending on YouTube. Why is this not the #1 topic on YouTube? I asked this on Twitter because I'm very vocal on Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, find me on Twitter. Why is this not the #1 story amongst YouTubers here on the platform? This has never happened in the history of the United States. Even during the Civil War, the Confederate Army only got so far. They didn't get anywhere near sacking Congress. And yet we had a Confederate flag flying through the halls of our government. And not only that, a woman died. She was shot inside the congressional building. And this is not the #1 story trending on YouTube. I'm very upset with YouTubers and influencers. I'm very upset. I'm super upset that they want to sit here and talk about Lord Voldemort and him supposedly dating Kanye West, which, what? But we want to talk about that, but not the fact that democracy, like they're trying to start a civil war in our country. Huh? I'm not willing to be that irresponsible, so I will be speaking on politics. I will be speaking on this going forward. It's going to happen. So when I saw this, I was pissed. And not just because, those of you who don't know, I am a political science major. I am a history nerd. I flew to DC to protest, and I walked miles all over Washington, DC. And I have a 3-part vlog series on this. If you are new coming here, I walked all over DC because I loved the history. I loved the legacy. And I remember being policed by snipers, the military, being barricaded, like so much. And this was a peaceful protest. Nothing, we were dancing in the streets. We weren't doing anything. We weren't, hitting cops. We weren't throwing barricades. We weren't doing any of that. But when I was in DC, we had like full on body armor military personnel watching us. And I went to the Capitol building. And when I got to the Capitol building, no one was there. It was quiet. It's a beautiful sunny day. There were some police officers walking around and they had barricades up, but nobody was there. And I said, hey, I'm from the West Coast. I love history. I touched the door of the Supreme Court and nearly cried. And I may not get the opportunity for a long time to walk up the steps of Congress. Like, can you please let me do this? Or hell, walk with me. Please. No one was there. No protest, nothing. It was quiet. Literally, no one was there. And they told me no. They told me no and turned me away. Now, later on, there were protests at the Capitol building, but they were peaceful. And the cops stood there, and I actually had a 3-hour conversation with the police captain talking about what was going on. The same Capitol Police that allowed Trump supporters to not only walk up the stairs that I never got to, but walk into the building and take pictures on the podium of the Speaker of the House, in the chair where the Vice President would sit. The same Capitol Police who blocked me took selfies with the Trump supporters as they ascended the steps of the state Capitol. And you wonder why Black people have a problem with you. You wonder why we don't trust the cops. This is exactly why, because they will stand on our face. We're not racist. We do our jobs. We will protect American freedom from anyone and everyone. You let them walk up the stairs of the Capitol building. Please tell me how that's not white privilege. How is it not privilege when you shot peaceful protesters? Even with rubber bullets, people lost their eyes. People got ran over by police cars and horses. They completely annihilated peaceful protesters with children in the crowd, but were hand-holding Trump supporters. Literally. How is it not privilege? I want to know how it's not privilege. How is it not? And then people are going to be like, well, one person got shot. Do you know how many people were shot during the George Floyd protests? And what happened in the Capitol? Of course, it is absolutely tragic. But the fact that they were even able to get in there, had it been Black Lives Matter people, that place would have been littered with bullets and blood. And we know this. And this was all incited by the president himself. The president himself stood on a podium and said, we are going to march up the Capitol steps and make demands of our congressional leaders. March up the steps of the Capitol and demand. He incited this, and he was backed by other Republicans, such as Ted Cruz. And we can be upset with the Republicans that were backing him in this moment. They should be deposed. Because this reeks of insurrection and treason. Actual treason, verifiable treason. They need to be removed. Trump needs to be removed. They all need to be removed. But let's not forget the people that have been supporting Trump up until this point, this entire time, because the only reason he has the balls to go this far is because he was having the backing of Republican congressional leadership throughout the 4 years of his tyranny, doing things that he should not have been doing things that were illegal. This is not the first. Ted Cruz has gone back on his word after Donald Trump insulted his wife and insulted his family. Ted Cruz apparently used to have a brain. I don't know what alien replaced Ted Cruz, but Ted Cruz used to be an opponent of Trump, and now he's a bootlicker. But he has been supporting Trump through all of this nonsense right up until people storming the Capitol building. But not just Ted Cruz, Mitch McConnell. He's another one. He's honestly, honestly, Mitch McConnell is one of the worst. He's one of the worst. If Donald Trump is Darth Vader, Mitch McConnell is Darth Sidious. He's just as bad as Trump. Mitch McConnell, whose job it is to make sure bills and legislation is passed and placed into law, has done nothing. He's allowed the bills to literally pile up on his desk and passes no bills to the floor to allow for a vote. Mitch McConnell has been one of Trump's fiercest enablers. He's allowed a lot of this to happen, and now we're seeing Mitch McConnell come onto the floor and try to save himself and probably his own party from the backlash that is inevitably going to result from this nonsense, from this treason. He's getting on the floor and he's saying we have to accept Joe Biden as the winner. Mitch, you should have did that weeks ago. Weeks ago, you allowed Trump to question a valid election, and all of this has come to rise. And now you want to get on the floor and say, no, we have to verify the election results, calling for peace. It's too late for that, Mitch. The Republicans could have stopped this a long time ago. And I really think that they got too comfortable. And this goes for both parties. The parties, both Democrat and Republican, these people are too comfortable. They truly believe that America, the United States, could not descend into chaos as we've seen from other countries. These people truly believe that they are so protected in their positions of power that an American revolution is not something that could in any space of reality ever happen. They are so comfortable. They never thought that the American people would ever storm the halls of Congress. So in a way, this is a lesson that needed to be learned for the congressional leadership. You are not untouchable, and the patience of the people is wearing thin. And your actions have repercussions, because I'm sure a lot of the Republicans thought them backing Trump, questioning the outcome of the elections, they thought nothing bad is going to come from this. I'm going to make Trump supporters love me, and everything will be great. I'll solidify my position as a Republican within the party, and everything will be great and happy and dandy. My position will be solid. They never thought for a second that they could ever face any backlash. And for those of you in the comments section, blah, 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 like I said, you better have some actual factual support for what you're saying. Because I will always look at things from both sides. I tend to be very unbiased in everything I look at. If ever, because I'm a history nerd, I love history and I respect our Constitution. I've actually read it, unlike some of our political leadership, the thorough, full version. Embarrassing, I know. How is this our leaders? How is this our leaders? But if ever there was a legitimate question as to the validity of a presidential outcome or election, I would be number one screaming at the top of my lungs that something needs to happen. I would never be okay with that. Never be okay with that. Never. But there is no proof. Not a shred of it. Not an inkling. Not a little bit. Anybody in the comment section, but don't you want fair and free elections? Absolutely, I do. And to this day, I have been presented no evidence otherwise. I have been presented no evidence that this was not a fair and valid election. And neither have the courts of the United States. Trump's own appointed leaders, his own appointed judges have shot it down because not a single thread of evidence has been produced. At this point, we are being subject to the tyranny of a Trump cult. And I'm not having it. Look, thank God I don't live in DC. I would be on the streets right now. Thank God I don't live in DC, because it's outrageous. It's outrageous. And I'm no longer willing to be one of the YouTubers that pretend like these things don't happen. I'm no longer going to pretend or be one of those people who be like, oh, I'm not into politics. I don't want to speak on it, because it's you guys, you people who say, I'm not into politics. I don't care. That's how we got where we are right now. People not caring, people being oblivious, people not using their voice. I'm not going to be a part of the people that don't use their voice. This is nonsense. And regardless of what party you're from, you should care. You should care. Imagine you had owning your own house and not knowing or caring who's in it or who's running it, who's running up your electricity or your water bill. Imagine not caring about what happens to your home. I'm side-eyeing anyone for the rest of my life, anyone who says they don't care about what's going on in their own country, because now we're seeing that it's resulting in the deaths of actual Americans. So as far as repercussions go, it does seem that there are people seeking to impeach Trump once again, even though he only has about 2 weeks left in office. At this point, he's incited such violence that even members of his own party are seeking for his removal. But also, There are people resigning from his administration and people seeking for the removal of senators such as Ted Cruz, who enabled this entire fiasco to happen, which I second. At this point, I have to second. It's incredibly irresponsible. Ted Cruz has never been a decent senator. He's gone back on his word, so I don't understand how his constituents even stand by him. But the removal of certain people who instigated this, I think it's warranted, including Trump himself. Now, of course, he's already been removed and it's meant to be official within 2 weeks. But can this country sustain another 2 weeks of Trump rule? Questionable. Twitter, however, has taken a stance against Trump and has actually taken the step to remove several of his tweets kind of inciting more violence. And people are going to be like, well, Trump came and told people to go home. He's still allowing people and encouraging people to question the results of elections without proof. He's undermining the entire democracy. We cannot go through this every 4 years of people saying elections were rigged. It can't happen. This is a very, very delicate fabric that he's been pulling on for 4 years, and you've seen what he's been able to do in this time. You see what happened at the Capitol building? You didn't see what happened at the Capitol building? Trump supporters, a big, huge army of them, pushed past police barricades, fought the cops, climbed up the Capitol building, busted the windows to Congress, jumped through the windows, started running, yeah, not joking, running through the congressional building, waved. So that was my mother. She just came in. She was not aware of what happened. But like I said, yeah, I'm no longer going to allow myself to be one of those people who don't speak on these important issues, because those people who are saying, I don't want to pay attention, I don't want to be a part of it, is the reason why this nonsense is being allowed. It's the reason why people are being allowed to get away with it, is because they know a lot of American people just are over it and they don't want to care. And could you imagine if this was something that all YouTubers were talking about? Like, could you imagine the power that influencers and YouTubers could enforce when it comes to political situations or causes such as what happened? Like, YouTubers don't realize how much power they have, and even TikTokers. You guys remember TikTokers as a trend, as a funny joke, stole an entire rally from the President of the United States and completely embarrassed him internationally as a funny joke. Like, young people have to realize that we really do have the power to create change and remove a lot of these people who need to go. And once again, I'm not even just saying a lot of the Republicans need to go, because there are some Democrats that I would ship off as well. And we will be discussing both political parties equally, because it needs to happen. And I think there's plenty that everybody can learn from each other. And some people are going to be like, well, what side of the fence are you on? Because I know a lot of people are going to look at my skin tone and make assumptions of what I believe in. And I consider myself an independent because I cannot fully support either side. There are issues that I have with both sides, and we can hopefully discuss it in a more lighthearted Privy Council with less tragic results. But what's happening in the United States really should not be ignored. And I'm pretty appalled that Lord Voldemort is the trending topic on YouTube. There will be more Privy Councils. Please remember to acknowledge and uphold the rules here, because I'm going to be a bit more strict and ruthless in these comments, because I'm not going to allow any nonsense to perpetuate. Not from my kingdom. It won't happen. I encourage intelligence and factual evidence. In the comment section below, let me know what you think about the ongoings of the United States situation and the non-peaceful transfer of power. Just tell me what you think. I mean, this is definitely a historic moment. Will you be attending more Privy Councils? Hopefully I get to see you in the future. If you can't sustain these types of topics, it's totally fine. You can keep to the more fun things, but I don't want to ignore what happens around me that seems irresponsible and oblivious. And that is not any type of descriptive words that I would use to describe myself. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, and if you are not a member of my court, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I would love to speak to you again. I love you, I'll miss you, and you know I will be back in a future video. Bye!